Okay, welcome to another virtual mentorship session. Thank you guys for your patience today. I'm hanging out with you guys just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm actually on the other side of the state line here in Southern Illinois. Really pumped to be a part of today's session. We have a lot to cover. We have our co-host, Dr. Brad Forbes from City Health Services, joining us today out of Mesa, Arizona. And I got a few other, maybe little surprise possible co-hosts. I don't know, from Symmetria Medical as well, up in the Pacific Northwest, just north of Everett. I got Abby and Tanya on board today. I can't wait to hear some insights from you guys alongside with what's working right now in 2023 with Dr. Brad. We got a few minutes to let everybody kind of settle in and get our audience up and rolling here. So as we get started, I've worked with, first off, I don't have a microphone today as I'm on the road today in another practice currently. I know my audio may be suspect today. Can you guys hear me decently? Okay, Jessica, how about you? All right, good to see you, Jessica. Awesome, perfect, good. I know Coastal Integrative is just joining us. Adrian, hey guys, Pro Wellness is in the house. Feel free to turn your webcams on. We got lots to cover in today's Zoom call. Obviously, a co-host like Dr. Brad, he's a humble man, but he's built some pretty amazing things in his practice and has had a chance to really deep dive into a number of different marketing verticals, both digitally, paid, and boots on the ground. Has generated tens of thousands of leads plus for his business in a number of years, really being an active in his marketing, his community, and is someone I've obviously known for many years, visited his practice and seen this in action. And so, Dr. Brad, you have a medically integrated model. So that's going to be great for those that have that kind of a model as well. And I just want to first off, thanks for joining the virtual mentorship stage today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, what would you say, just to kind of kickstart us off? You've been in or around the Business Academy ecosystem probably for, over 8 years now, I believe. And you've learned a lot. You've seen what works. You've seen what doesn't work. You've had wins and successes in the area of marketing, but also you've had to, go through a number of, failed activities as well, but you've quickly rebounded from those. Maybe you can share what has been some of the insights that you've taken as a practice owner / somebody who's overseeing their own marketing with a marketer that you learned from the Business Academy regarding driving in new patients. What's a philosophical start to this idea of marketing as we get rolling today?
I think it's twofold. One is you need a designated person to constantly work it. Otherwise, there's no consistency to the marketing plan. Two, you have to have a written on paper marketing plan. So that's something that encompasses digital, whether that's paid digital through a marketing company, but also your internal marketer should have some sort of foothold on your digital presence, whether it's collecting collecting reviews or collecting testimonials from patients that they could utilize in social media, or even I have my internal marketer doing blogs with email blasts and social media attachments and things like that. Both they would do it on their own, and now we have them submitting it to our digital marketer, our external paid digital marketer as well.
That's awesome. Makes tons of sense. I'm going to welcome our newest attendees to the Zoom today. Hey, Catherine, great to see you. Glad you had a chance to make it on board today. Awesome. Perfect. Hey, Tiffany, good to have you here. We got Adrian, we got Maria, we got Healing Frontiers is in the house, Coastal Integrative. I would love to have your guys' webcams on so we can see you. Otherwise, we're just talking to black boxes, right? So it definitely helps us to dynamically communicate if we can have you guys on Zoom. So Maria, if you're there, we'd love to see your beautiful face as well. Pro Wellness, same thing. All of you guys, it'd be great if we can see you. I know half of you guys don't have a webcam, but we'll get one next time. But if you guys can, that'd be really awesome to have you guys the visual there so we can take your questions and interact with you guys dynamically. So if you can turn your webcams on, you can who we're talking to. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate that. Awesome. Okay. So I'm just gonna do a quick introduction to a couple semi co-hosts who are going to be here for part of the time. But if you don't mind, I was with up in the Pacific Northwest here just for the third time, just north of Everett, hanging out with Symetra Medical, and we had a great time. Obviously, we did as we always do: great team building, good leadership training, better ways to organize and scale. You guys went from one location, you're moving to three locations. You're going to second location. Now you're opening up. Have a timeline for a third location and many more. We have a vision of 52 locations, with 4 of them being regional hubs. That's the big vision that we're working towards. So maybe Abby and Tanya, who are, Symetra Medical's community outreach coordinators, and Abby's been taking on a role of kind of marketing manager, marketing director for the practice. Maybe between the both of you guys, you could share what's working well in your medically integrated model with all your service centers. What's working well, boots on the ground right now, to drive lots of leads, community engagement, and new patients?
Yeah, definitely. So when, I mean, I'm sure you remember, but when you were up here with us, we went and did some drop-ins, and that's really huge, just making a connection with different businesses in the community, and offering our services as donation hours. There's the Doctors with Health and Wellness, I believe is what it's called, that you can become a part of and utilize that, or you can just simply let them know that it's your goal as a clinic to donate these hours per year. And that helps to get your foot in the door. And we've had a lot of success with that. We've been following up and getting some events planned where we're going to be pampering employees and different staff of different organizations. And then furthermore, getting invited to their health fairs and just different things like that. Because a lot of the time, people just simply don't know about you, and they don't know that these resources are here. So getting the word out and just being there, being present, is huge.
That's awesome. And Tanya, I'll ask you, you're kind of onboarding into your first month in your role there at Symetra, working alongside with Abby. You've been to a couple of events so far, some community events. What have you noticed from your end of how important it is for any practice to be engaging face to face with people in the community, not just only relying on, say, digital ads or something like that? How impactful has it been just in your first few weeks to engage with people face to face, to schedule to come into the office?
Yeah, I kind of feel like in this field, a lot of people want a personal connection with someone. So knowing what you're talking about, like knowing about your clinic, knowing about whatever it is your focus is, you have to be able to explain it very simply, because you can't give out too much information because they want to visit right then and there at a booth, So, so yeah, keeping it short, sweet, simple, and just drawing them in to want to either visit your clinic or whatever it is. It's just keep it short and sweet. That's what I've noticed. And they will ask tons and tons of questions, but it's like, keep it short and sweet. That's the easy part. And they love the connection with you. Like, the same aches and pains or whatever. It's really funny how people engage just by, oh yeah, your back hurts too.
Yeah.
So,
and you guys were at remind me, you guys obviously you had the Lake Stevens Health and Wellness Fair, but you were at another event recently as well, correct?
Yeah.
What and was that as heavily trafficked? Was that bigger? How, what does that look like, boots on the ground, doing community events in today's market?
Yeah, so that event was very, very, very busy. Tons of people. I mean, I think maybe even more than the Lake Stevens Health and Wellness Festival. But the difference with this event is we were simply there to provide information about what we do and offer. We brought a wheel, which was huge for bringing families up to our booth. No kids can resist a wheel. And then parents come by, and then we start chatting with the parents about what we do at the clinic. But just being out there in the community and relating to people all throughout the day. We didn't have any providers there to offer services, but we were there. And I would say we had just as much, if not more, engagement with our booth. We were able to schedule people. We have people working, still following up with, to get them scheduled. And it definitely got the word out there. I remember the Monday after this event, it was a week or so ago. I do all of the leads. And so if the front desk gets any people interested to schedule an appointment, they get forwarded to me. And good energy out is going to energy in. And that next Monday, we had so many new leads or people who are reaching out to get more information or wanting to be scheduled. And just being out there, like I said, and getting the word out there, being there to answer questions, relate, be empathetic to people. One thing Tanya was doing that was awesome is letting people know that she started as a patient at the clinic. And so that is really awesome with relating at that level of, I trusted these people so much and I love what they do so much that I want to be a part of their team and help other people achieve what can be achieved through care at Symetria. So yeah, it's been great. It was a really awesome event.
Yeah, it was.
And then last question before I turn the call over to a couple more questions to Dr. Brad here as we're all taking notes. Were there, at any of these events, were there any other medical offices or chiropractic booths of any sort that you found?
There were.
There were. Was it a lot? Was it what was different from what you guys were offering?
We didn't have time to go explore the rest of the booths, but she actually came over to talk to us. It was interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And Abby, I mean, when you're stopping into these different businesses, are you seeing a saturated market or just a sprinkling of other offices?
I mean, definitely with things that we do. I mean, in chiropractic, I'd say a sprinkling more so than they're everywhere, especially with integrative care. I mean, there's nothing up where we're at. Everything is down an hour south in Seattle from where our clinic is. So it's really unique with what we're offering and giving people the information about what we do.
Absolutely. What I did here is I just shared my screen for a second. This is you guys at that local event.
Yes.
And you kind of get an idea, guys, just a visual for their booth. Obviously, there's all kinds of activities. There's face painting. There's the wheel. There's smiles. There's you guys have the spine there. There's conversations. There's the whole lot of people coming to see what you're offering. So these are it's kind of a good visual, guys, to understand a little bit about, what does your booth look like? How do you stand out? Make yourself different at any one of these events. I'm telling you, there's enough people there that want to see it and they want to come in and schedule appointments and become leads for your practice to come and schedule new patient appointments.
Definitely. I would say with the models that we had of like the spine and then the degenerative disc were huge because not only were the kids interested, like, oh, what is that? Like, what is that? What is that? The parents were also, or like other people just stop by and be like, what is this? Will you explain? Like they'd see the model of the degenerative discs and be like, can you explain to me what's happening here? And then that leads a segue into talking about our decompression treatment and different things that we can do at our clinic. So it's just awesome conversational pieces that start a connection with different people and they're wanting to find out more information.
That's great. And last question, this is for the practice owners here that own a practice that are sick and tired of doing screenings at events like this themselves. Did you have any providers at this event, or just you guys?
Nope. No providers. It was Tanya and I, and we killed it.
Awesome. I love that. So practice owners, guys, this is what your marketers are doing. They're out there doing these events on the practice's behalf, and they have a 40-hour week scheduled to do it. They're getting out there and pushing the envelopes and through TBA training, and they know how to not only create good engagements, but also generate leads and then schedule those that need your services into your office as new patients. And the warming up of your practice and of the experience already happens before they walk in your doors. So I just, again, huge. I can't thank Tanya and Abby enough today for letting me share this with you guys, and you guys can hear from somebody who's boots on the ground making it happening. And again, for office managers or doctors watching, you don't need to be there on Saturdays doing your own events when you've already been slaving away in the office for 50 hours, right? Serving patients. This is for a rock star, a marketing ninja like Tanya and Abby to go out and do through the TBA model. So anyways, that's just a heads up for you guys. Thank you guys for sharing that. I might call in here in a few minutes for some more questions, but let me move the conversation. Actually, before I move on back to Dr. Brad, anybody here, you can feel free to jump on in with any questions before I move topics here regarding what Abby and Tanya were sharing. Feel free to about a marketer jumping on in. Dr. McKenzie, you good there? Good to see you, my friend. Awesome. Jessica, any questions there? Cool. Catherine, all good to go? Awesome. Beautiful. Dr. Max joined us as well. What's going on, my man? Okay, good. Dr. Brad, okay, let's kind of shift gears a little bit here. And if you guys have questions along the way, please feel free to jump in the chat box or turn your mic off. You can jump on in, totally fine. Anything that comes to mind right now, again, what's working now in 2023? How do you add in another 5 to 10 more new patients into your schedule? How do you handle non-qualified leads? What are you doing for lead funnels? Anything in the marketing arena for your practice, jump in that chat box and type in your questions, and we'll get to them throughout the day. This is going to be an interactive session today. Dr. Brad, okay, so how important is it for practice owners that are listening and even marketers to think with multiple sources of new patients? I think a lot of practices, sustain their office based on maybe referrals or one or two, avenues of new patients. How important has it been for you when you kind of develop a marketing strategy to have a number of different fishing poles in the pond there?
Hugely important, obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought it up. But that's part of the responsibilities of the external marketing plan, is understanding that, and everybody's going to be a little bit different in terms of their niche and where they get their patients from. But I like to have a certain percentage of my practice as personal injury. So we focus a lot of our external marketing on, some of the attorneys in the area that we've obtained and nurtured long-term relationships with. We also get referrals from some OBGYNs, and so we send gift baskets and various stuff over to them. We have a strong neuropathy program in our office, so neurologists, oncologists, we focus on just constant communication, dropping texts, dropping in and giving, small gift type items, treats and snacks types of things. But there's like I was talking about earlier, having a written marketing plan and making sure that monthly, all of these referral sources get touched every single month with some form of communication. We don't have to, drop off cookies every single month, but as long as we're in communication, whether it's email, phone call, drop-ins, all those things, but they need to be touched every single month.
This is really, I want to linger on this a little bit here. A referral source that many practices, I think, have in the past struggled to either initially establish or even maintain a referral source. Maybe we can linger on this a bit. What has been your best practice, Dr. Brad? And I think we've had multiple 7 division members over the years share theirs regarding professional referrals. Again, high level medical specialists. Again, through your neuro program or through other that you have, or with really important high value attorney referrals. How do you get your foot in the door there? It's easy to drop off some cookies here and there, but so is every other freaking vendor out there. You drop into an urgent care or a primary care or a specialist office. So what's kind of your angle in so you can actually have a meaningful conversation with that referral source? And then what are they interested in? They're not interested in referring to you. They're interested in getting something from you too. So how do you kickstart that relationship?
So we'll start with like personal injury attorneys. Over the years, I've done both. I've contacted them first, taken them out to lunch. The key things that they want to hear from you are, how competent are you in the therapies that you provide, the services, whether it's, strictly chiropractic and you refer out for all the other services, or if you incorporate integrated type services into your practice. But they want to make sure that whoever they send you is going to get taken care of well. And this is your opportunity to kind of brag on yourself. Everybody else is doing the exact same thing. So what sets you apart, though, is a good understanding of the documentation and utilization of like Colossus, which is the insurance company's valuation of cases based on insurance, like diagnosis codes or prescriptions of care, or even utilization of other healthcare providers that are co-treating with you. So the goal, in whether it's a face-to-face or you're taking them out to lunch, is to address all the things that you can think of that they want out of the relationship. And the main thing that you want is the referral, right? It's a little bit harder to get into urgent cares or specialists like oncologists and neurologists. And I've relied a little bit more on patients of mine that are already going to these other people, these other professionals, and I'm using them as an advocate. So and it kind of gets your foot in the door.
I want to hit that really fast. This is so important. Every office I visit, I mentioned this on these marketing virtual mentorship sessions too. Do an inventory of your existing patients. And I'm gonna veer off a little bit here just for a second to bring it right back to Dr. Brad's point. Your existing patients, they are usually the ins to the companies you want to get into, the influence, community influencers you want to get referral sources with. Again, they are patients in these offices that will help kind of be your advocate. They maybe even work at some of these locations too. You'd be surprised if you do a really good list. I'll give a little piece of homework for everybody here if you haven't done this recently. Make a list of pull a list of all your active patients from your EMR. And then just the ones that are coming in once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, or whatever their schedule is. And break them up into 2 columns and to sit down with your team over a long lunch, buy lunch, bring into the office. And one column is, what does this person do for a living? Where do they work? What do they do? And what is their, what's their status? And B, on the second column, it's like, what do they enjoy doing recreationally? And you'll notice that a lot of your patients are in clubs, communities, and they're part of they're CrossFit trainers, or they're big in their CrossFit group, or they're part of a hiking company, or they're retired and they're part of a knitting company, or their group. I should not really group. They're in these circles you're trying to get into, and they'll be your advocate. And I would even argue, to Dr. Brad's point, write a third column, which is who is this patient's PCP? Who are their what other specialists are co-managing this case or co-managing this patient's health? And you can go through that, and you'll notice you can find that data through your notes, and I'm sure through your documentation if you're curious. But you could have 200 active patients and have all of the connections you need to really kickstart a lot of these either events and activities or build these really high-level referral sources. So instead of trying to go in cold, right, there's a lot of, I think, resourcefulness within your office if you kind of just take inventory and do a bit of an audit. To Dr. Brad's point, you'll be surprised with how easy it might be if you have some advocates on board with you. So anyways, with that being said, Brad, I'll let you continue there.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that is obviously you want to go back in time and try to harvest it from your current patient base, but it's also easy to incorporate this into your new patient activity when you're whether it's your intake paperwork or your case manager's initial conversation. You want to, by incorporating it moving forward, it will make it a lot easier for opportunities down the road. Secondly is utilize your CRMs or your mailing lists and ask, you want to find out who they are happy with, right? So because the people that are happy with their GP or their oncologist or neurologist, those are the ones that are going to be your advocate as well, because they want to show that they're happy with the relationship that they have. They're just a lot more apt to share that information. So like a questionnaire with your email blasts would be, if you're happy with your provider, will you please share them because we want to share our services with them, type of a scenario.
That's great. And with speaking of higher level specialist referrals, what outside of effectively co-managing their healthcare, what are other incentives that they have, or what other reason do they have, like the what's in it for me kind of a conversation for that provider to refer you any of their patients outside of they're competent with the care that you can give with the condition that they don't specialize in, and you can kind of co-manage the case. What are other, maybe from a business side, that you can put in front of this person if it works out, that's of course ethical and compliant, but that they're interested in outside of just
so
reason of the patient?
Bill Esteb, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bill Esteb, but it's been a while since I've utilized any of his stuff, but I remember he put out a book and a CD probably like 10, 15 years ago that talks about why people refer. And it's not, most of the time, it's not to get something in return. Most of the time people refer because they want to be seen as somebody in the know, and they want to be seen as a helper, right? And that's why not every one of your patients are going to refer. It's usually you have 1 out of 5 that refers 5 people, as opposed to getting 5 referrals out of each of your 5 patients. So same thing happens in professional scenarios. Most of the time you have a gatekeeper at a physician's office that handles the referrals. The provider usually goes up to the front desk and says, hey, this patient needs a referral for physical therapy, or this patient needs a referral for chiropractic, or whatever service you want to specialize in and be known for. And if you attach yourself with that gatekeeper, whether it's a reception or a office manager, whatever, in that scenario, they love being in the know. They love showing off that they are helping. And so yes, you can incentivize them, and I have incentivized some of these gatekeepers with like a gift card of some sort. You kind of have to ask them, what would you like? Would you like movies? Do you like a gift card to Massage Envy? Or there's all kinds of different things that you can do gift cards for. Most of them don't do it for the incentive, or they're not incentivized by things. They're incentivized by the feeling of the referral.
Makes a lot of sense. Nothing wrong with surprising them, especially gatekeepers. Nothing wrong with surprising them with some goodies to get your foot in the door.
Always.
Yeah, that's smart. That makes a lot of sense. But I think that, how do you would you say the best way, even with patients, right? Like if we shift it over to patient referrals, I mean, again, gamification's big, promotions are big. These themed activities are important. But what would you say? Again, if the top 10% of your patients are most of your referring patients, what are little things that you do for them to make them feel like a VIP in your practice, or that you've seen work, in yours and other practices for those top referring patients who will always give and find ways to bring friends, family, people in? Is there anything special that you're doing for them to acknowledge that and to continue that level of referral?
You want to post it, obviously, in ethical ways that for HIPAA, but patients, like a lot of it is they want to appear that they are in the know. So if they are on your social media or on your like a punch board in the wall of your practice, special thanks to our referring practice members, and you don't have to do the entire name, but they know their names on there. And then you talk it up and say, this is the 5th person this one has referred in, or thank you very much. I'm sure you guys have seen the birds of a feather flock together type conversations where we want practice members like you, and that means a lot to them. Is we recognize who they are, and we want people like them. Is a massive stroke, pat on the back for who they are. So public acknowledgement to the best of HIPAA's restrictions.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Awesome. Let me go back to professional referrals for a second. I got a question for Tanya and Abby here in about 2 to 3 minutes. If you guys are able to stick around for a bit. Going back to the professional referrals, so that's like a way. Those are ways to build these relationships and get your foot in the door and be different, have a differentiator. Now you have this referral source, so you've established it, right? Whether it's an attorney or a medical provider, how do you said, every month you got to make sure to touch that referral source in some way. They cannot be ignored, right? You got to have constant, continual value you're providing, communication and interactions that is going to be important for them. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like, that the relationship is established and you want to continue to build on those referrals?
So the most important thing is consistency. You really want to make sure that you have a game plan and it's calendared out, that you're going to hit X number of your attorneys every single week, but you're making sure that you hit them all every month. And when it comes to the emails, it's always nice to, thank them for the referrals that they've given in the past, not only because, to show appreciation, but it also is a guilt factor if they haven't referred you anybody in a little while. And guilt goes a long way as well. And then, whenever you're popping in, you definitely want to have that friendly face, that, your PR basically. So when I was doing this myself early in practice, I remember, some of the gatekeepers that would, see me walking in the door with a batch of cookies, like, I don't know, grocery store basic grocery store cookies. And, which, by the way, if you also sell medical weight loss in your office, it's also nice. It's a nice little plug too, saying, here's some cookies, but we'll help you work it off if you want.
Nice.
Consistency is the key. That's the long answer, but consistency is the key.
Great. And then I know obviously I've seen with a lot of attorney referrals, you're trying to, get cases referred to your office. You got to refer to them too. You can't expect, if you're not touching base and referring, cases to them or patients that would, obviously maybe have a new injury through an auto accident, you got to refer them into them too. And the more you give, the more you get. That's always the more important part of it too, is always make sure to be giving. You got to be finding ways to give. That's the most important part.
Well, also I'd say that not all attorneys are the same. I mean, I have a couple of attorney groups that will never refer me anybody. However, they get me paid at 100%. And I have other attorney groups that will refer me a lot of patients. However, they expect a larger reduction. And I'm just as happy to send patients to the person that's going to give me 100% payment, knowing that, that one's worth 2 from the other guy that I've got to do a reduction on. So maybe not 2, but I just don't like doing a lot of reductions. And so I'd rather send it to somebody that's going to give me 100%.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a value exchange there too. I want to shift the conversation. So far, we've talked about high-level referrals and things we can do right away, right? Medical providers, attorneys to establish and sustain referral relationships there. We talked about outside events that are happening now in your community that you can be taking full advantage of and driving in just another Lego, another vertical, another avenue of new patients to come into your office outside of the 1 or 2 that maybe brand new patients in. Let's talk a bit about, again, quarterly themed, just fun gamification in the office. There's 1,500 ways you can do this, and your team can do this. But between Abby and Tanya and even Jessica from Oxford Health and Wellness, maybe you guys can help me out here a little bit. There's probably 20 or 30 different themed promotional activities and events you can do within your existing 4 walls and your patient database. But how do you drum up activity? I know, Jessica, you guys were running a giveaway recently, and you got a good amount of patient referrals the first time in a while. And I assume it was because you were actually having one-on-one conversations with patients in the office, not just putting up a post and a poster and expecting people to engage. Well, and I'll start with Jessica here. How important was that, Jessica, to actually sit down with patients? Hi, I'm Jessica. Have you heard about this? What did that look like to actually generate activity within your guys' promotions?
Yeah, that was very important. That's the main thing that got the referrals was that one-on-one conversation. We were having a Christmas in July event, so there were a lot of decorations, which got a lot of conversations started. People just asking, why do you have a Santa Claus in the middle of your office in July? So that definitely helped. But just during like neuropathy treatments, they're sitting in those chairs for so long that they're happy to sit down and have a conversation with you. So yeah, just going up to them, saying, this is what's happening. Do you want to contribute? Do you have anyone that's in your case that you would like to help out? Just letting them know that they're helping their friends is what I tried to get across to them.
I love that. And then maybe give us an idea, in your role, was it you talked to 5 or 10 patients, or were you making a point every week or every day to kind of spend an hour or 2 sitting down, talking to people? What was the quantity of conversations you were having to drum up some kind of activity in this thing?
Yeah, every day was my goal. Because it was a month-long event, I would just put aside a few hours every day. I kind of look at the schedule, see who was coming in, get a good idea of who I thought would be more likely to want to contribute, and those were the people that I'd try to sit with.
That's smart. I love it. Good. So I know sometimes as a practice owner, as an office manager, even a marketer, right? You can get stuck in front of your computer for hours in your office, right? Trying to handle leads or handle these fires or put out, handle this paperwork. But then, you put on these events, you're like, oh, why isn't anyone engaging? Right. And I think sometimes you just could just hit the nail on the head. You got to actually just spend some time every day, talk with patients when they're on laser, when they're on, and they're doing their neuro treatments or, after they get adjusted, they're in the waiting room, just having these meaningful conversations as a community outreach coordinator. That's the only way you get it going, because everybody else in your practice is going to be busy. Right? Front desk is going to be busy, rehab techs are busy, doctors are busy, and everyone can play ball and contribute to the conversation around whatever event or activity you guys are doing. But if you're a marketing team member, 100%, you got to get at it, get to spend time in the office, talking to people and building relationships within your current database or current patients in the office. That's huge. I'll ask Abby the same question. I know, Abby, you're in the office once a week and then you're remote. Otherwise, you're doing a lot of external stuff. But what internal activities have worked well for Symetria promotions to either drive referrals, drive reviews? You guys have hundreds of reviews on Google, 5-star reviews. What have been some best practices, either referrals or reviews, to kind of gamify and keep it front of mind for patients?
Yeah, so we will do a event at the end of, we started doing it at the end of every quarter, and it's a refer a friend raffle. So we usually will raffle off 3 prizes, and we have 2 clinics, so we'll do prizes for each clinic. And there's different ways for you to get raffle tickets and different amounts. So like the lower amounts, like 1 or 2 raffle tickets, are like checking on Facebook when you come in, or liking us on Facebook, different things like that. And then they get higher and higher, like 5 tickets for leaving a Google review, 10 tickets for referring a friend, 7 tickets for filming a video testimonial, just different things like that. And then that way, that really like drums up the conversation. Like people get really into when there's a chance to win things. They're like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can on this list multiple times. Like they get excited when they come in. They're like, I checked in today. I want my ticket. Like super, it's always been really successful, and it's just getting more and more successful. I'll go and check our engagement online before and after these type of events, and it just skyrockets. So it's and then not only that, but we get a lot of referrals in our office, because there's a lot of people who in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, this place would be perfect for so and so, but they just don't act on it. So when you give them the opportunity to act on it, and when it's in a form of a half sheet where they have to fill out their information in front of them, then they're going to do it. And if that means winning something, that's even a bigger plus. So yeah.
That's great. A little gamification goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I want to a hot tip for everybody here. School is coming back in session for some counties in your area. School is already starting, which is crazy. In the next week or so, when I was a kid, school started like after Labor Day or something like that. Now it's like early August. The point being is kids are going back to school, so there is Dr. Brian talks about this all the time. Every year, your practice should be doing back to school physicals. Your providers should be out doing back to school physicals for as many counties, schools in your district and counties as possible. If you go to Family Chiropractic Center for Wellness on their Facebook page, Family Chiropractic Center for Wellness in Spring Hill, Florida, and you kind of scroll down a bit, maybe I'll pop it up here in a second on my screen, but you'll see pictures and videos of all their providers spending a couple days, Friday, Saturday, doing hundreds of physicals for kids in the school districts around their practices. And then guess who else is there with the kids? Mom and dad. Guess when things are found, again, these providers are volunteering their time to the school because the school needs providers to do this. And you get yourself front in line saying, we're here to help. And then you just, of course, ask permission to be able to, if there's any major concerns, you can offer a more thorough consultation inside your practice in case there's any issues with son or daughter, or if it's mom and dad are having issues, you can always just, have the opportunity to bring them into the office. So again, you're volunteering your time. You can get in front of hundreds or even thousands of kids and parents, and then offer the opportunities you have in your practice. So back to school physicals, you'll be welcomed warmly by schools in your area if they do not have doctors or providers to provide these. So take advantage of strike while the iron's hot. Back to school is either coming up or it's happening very soon. All you got to do is contact your local superintendent or event guys as well, and be involved in your community. Dr. Brad, can you discuss a bit about what type of events have worked well for you pretty consistently over the years? Obviously, over a couple of years that you tried to stay involved in that generate goodwill, and also we generate.
Yeah. So here in Mesa, Arizona, we have a lot of seasonal events, right? So we have a heavy snowbird season that is usually from November to May. And a lot of our external events revolve around 55 plus communities, whether it's coffee and donuts, lectures, things of that nature. But during the off season or the non-snowbird season, we love to do pamper events. Obviously, the schools, that's where we're really focusing a lot of our attention right now, is getting in with the schools. They're all busy and crazy busy, but that works to your advantage as well. That's their first objection is, oh, we're way too busy. This is back to school season. Well, that's the reason why they need this the most, right? Is de-stress and start thinking about your own health, because snot kids are coming in with lots of germs and we want to keep their immune systems high. We also hit the fire department and police departments pretty hard. We offer some hormone replacement therapy and medical weight loss programs, which seem to carry off a little bit stronger with police department and fire departments. So that's one of our big focuses within there. However, they love pamper events too. So
doing with them, whether it's pampering them, which I'm sure they'll appreciate, but if it's focusing on HRT and semaglutide, medical weight loss programs, what are you providing at that event? Are you doing kind of like bring lunch and do a talk? Are you doing?
So we'll bring B12 injections, and every state's going to be a little bit different on the legals of that. In our state, we're allowed to bring them and just not inject the patient. They just take it home with them and dispose of the needle correctly. So they have to sign consents and do things of that nature. But B12 is huge, and especially like B12 with some lipotrophics. Actually, we have great luck with that at our schools as well. There's been a couple of times that we have an event set up at a school. Our massage therapists were not able to attend, just various conflicts. And so our marketer is basically, they're like, crap, I don't have anybody to go with. Now what do I do? Well, bring a bag of B12 shots. And the B12 shots actually netted more day ones than the last time we were there with massage therapists. So, but check your state. Every state's a little bit different on what they allow.
That's awesome. And for those practices that are have RNs or nurse practitioners available in their practice, if you go to the marketing instant hat, I added in the marketer instant hat on the TBA website, I added in a full training and tutorial from Dr. Gary on how you can do a B12 and breakfast event. What's the scripting? Who needs to be there? How do you get in? What's the offer? How do you perform the event? How do you generate new patients from it? So the whole training is on there online. You guys can access. So for those that can't administer that at an event, you just can go to the marketer instant hat on the website, and I believe it's about halfway down. You'll see there's the B12 and breakfast training on there. So definitely a really good new addition into the marketer instant. You guys can access the second what Dr. Brad said. I love that. Dr. Brad, let's before we move on to the next topic, guys. Again, questions, chat box. You guys want to jump in here with anything? We got going over a lot of valuable stuff. Catherine is over there taking her notes fervently, right, of all the stuff. Any questions, Catherine, that you have for our co-host today so far?
No, I'm in the middle of patients, so I'm just listening in right now. Unfortunately, it's just me, myself, and I. That's it.
Notes. Awesome.
I am taking notes. Yes.
We love it. Awesome. Good to have you here, Catherine. Thank you. Good. Okay. Adrian, good to go. Any questions or insights you want to give? All right. Dr. Carl's in here as well. It's good to see you, my friend. We got some gems floating around here, so we'll keep it going. Dr. Brad, let's talk about, these are all opportunities to drive lots of leads, lots of community engagement, a lot of patient engagement, build referral sources, high quality referral sources. Now let's talk about, now you got tens of thousands of leads just sitting there, right? Whether in a CRM, we have a bunch of stress surveys. How should those leads that already exist be nurtured? Yeah, they've been called once, they've been called twice, and a couple months or two's gone by, and they've kind of just sort of sitting there now. What are ways that you can successfully nurture those and or keep tapping on those to bring them into the office?
So one of the best things that's worked for us is having a specific campaign. So if we have a like an open house or a like a B12 drive or something, or something that's going to a theme, and then you come back a couple of months later and hammer out all of your previous leads that didn't convert or that were set up for day one that didn't show, whatever it is. And, you can usually dip back into that pool a little bit, and well, not just a little bit. It kind of depends on how aggressively and how the emotion behind what you're offering. So anyways, but it's got to be like a quarterly event that you've got to go back through all of your leads, try to find, gather them all up. And usually the marketer that initiated those leads is going to be your best bet for making phone calls, or if you're hammering them through a CRM, sending out emails, it doesn't really matter who's doing it.
That's great. And then for those that haven't yet, one of your best resources if you're struggling with time, but you want to create a simple email campaign that can hit on a certain condition or a service you're offering. Guys, I'm gonna challenge everyone in this group, and I'm gonna see who gets to the chat box first. Okay, count of three. 1, 2, 3. What online tool can you use to create email campaigns for you in 30 seconds or less? Go to the chat box. Pro Wellness wins. Excellent. Yes, Pro Wellness has got it. Dr. Matt's got it. Abby's got it. Tanya's got it. Excellent work. I love it, guys. Everybody else, Healing Frontiers, yes, good. You guys are using that, right? So if you didn't put anything in the chat box, you have not exposed yourself to one of the most amazing tools out there available. Use ChatGPT to create your email campaigns or text campaigns, what you want your posters to say, what your brochures should look like. It's the easiest, simplest, fastest way to automate the process for you. Just go, this is a bit about my practice. This is what we offer. This is the pain points our clientele or future patients are going through. These are the services we want to offer. Give me a 10-part email campaign that touches on each one of these, and then a call to action to schedule an appointment. Click the button below. I mean, just type that in, and it'll create your campaigns for you. You can twist, edit, change them, etc. But if you're just like, I don't have time to write blogs and emails and campaigns, guys, you could do this over the next 5 minutes before you finish this webinar. We can create something, you know what I mean? So utilize ChatGPT. Dr. Brow was in Puerto Rico with us doing an all-day ChatGPT workshop a few months ago. Brad, how helpful has that been for you to create simple copy, to get out there?
Huge. So I not only used it for some of my marketing campaigns or like emails, and there's I'm trying to remember the name of the program, but it's here it is, Doodly. So there's a program out there that does like animated pictures, and you tell a story through some animation. And I was able to use some ChatGPT to create a script, and then plug that into another AI that did the voiceover, and then plug that into Doodly to set up an actual video based on hormone replacement therapy. So that was pretty cool.
Whoa.
And all of that was driven by my fear.
It's like an animation video, right?
Yes. So
wow.
All of that was because I'm afraid to get in front of a camera and do, like mini lectures and things like that. So I went through I like to make it sound like it was harder than it is. It really wasn't that hard, but I went through the effort of learning 3 different programs just to avoid doing a 2-minute video. So
but to your point though, Doodly does the animation videos. So you created the copy in ChatGPT. You then put that through a narration.
Yeah. So Voomly was the voiceover. So once you come up with a script, throw it into Voomly, it does the voiceover, and then you use that as your audio in the Doodly.
And then you hire Doodly to automate the animation.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's pretty cool. But I've used it for way more than just office stuff. I've used ChatGPT just for planning. I think I planned my daughter's birthday, so I don't think we followed it very closely because I had to submit that to my wife. But but I thought it was pretty cool that, hey, this was a preset plan. So
that's so cool. But at least you came to the conversation with the plan.
Exactly. I really got points for looking like I put a lot of effort into it.
That's awesome. I'm gonna circle back to a previous part of the conversation. I was talking about school physicals, guys. I'm gonna share my screen again. I'm going to Family Chiropractic Center for Wellness's Facebook page, and you guys can see. Give me a thumbs up. You can see my screen. Thumbs up. You guys can see it. Okay, cool, awesome. So I'm on their Facebook page. This was when they did their back to school bash with what McDowell School was doing. So here's their booth. I'm gonna go and click on some of their pictures. They had a massage chair. They had a spot for physicals there, for exam chair, and adjustment chair. There we go. So this school county was doing, obviously was having a big event around this, right? So you might find your county will do a back to school type of event with different vendors or opportunities. And so all the kids were coming here for awesome. Anyways, my computer's a little slow right now because we're on Zoom, but you guys can go to Family Chiropractic Center for Wellness' Facebook page, and you can just kind of move through all the pictures, and you can see their docs there. Obviously, doing they got the table curtain, a skirt with the booth, and it's like get your physicals here, right? Raffle prizes they can get. There's an activity around it, but I know they got a number of new patients into the office for this. So again, school physicals, this is your time, guys, to take advantage of that. Or it's all over. Awesome. So then we covered a number of different things today. I think will be really good. I want to make sure everyone here takes full advantage of the new, updated, newly launched Marketing Ninja online certification that we have. If you go to the Business Academy website, you go to the Instant Hat tab, you're going to see a whole number of online courses you can go through there. Then go to the Marketer Instant Hat. This is like just how do you put your hat on as a marketer really fast? And there's at least, about 9 or 10 hours of training in there on the onboarding of a marketer, what you're focusing on. All the things we've talked about so far today are pretty much in there, but actually breaking down the SOPs of how do you get in there, best practice for what to say, what to do, how to generate leads, how to bring them into the office with new patients that are qualified. And there's a host more that we're adding to that course every single month. So be sure to take full advantage of that. Dr. Brad, what's been working in your market for paid advertising? Obviously, you have a number of different conditions that you service in your practice through a number of different modalities. Again, it's different market to market, region to region, but what have you found has been working for a number of different service centers for paid ads generating a good amount of yield
for you? Sure. So all paid ads, research shows that marketing the condition works way better than marketing the service. So, telling people what I do for neuropathy doesn't really work very well. It's just, marketing for pain points of neuropathy or pain points of chronic pain. Those things of that nature seems to bring in way more patients. Also, you got to work within algorithms of whatever platform you're using. So like our medical weight loss, I know Facebook does not like the word semaglutide right now, so you kind of have to. I mean, you can use semaglutide in photos, but you can't use semaglutide in the actual text. So you have to work around some of those things. But paid advertising in general, what works the best for me is consistency of Google, and you don't have to go crazy with your ad spend, but you have to be consistent. And same thing with Facebook. You don't have to go crazy, just maintain a consistent message and a consistent presence within there.
And then for the marketers or anybody that does lead scheduling here on the call, how fast, obviously we should have automations of when leads come in and automations of texts go out to start the conversation. But between like the lead coming in and at least a phone call from a live person, like what's that sweet spot? Do they wait until the end of the day? Is that fine? Or you got to get within that first 15, 10, 5 minutes?
Yeah, time kills all deals. So You have to respond fast. And I think currently, the last time I heard anyway, it says within 10 minutes, you need to have some sort of contact back to them. So obviously that's a little tougher on non-business hours, but you can set up your CRMs to have automatic text message replies. And as long as they are touched and they feel as though they are being addressed, then you can kind of buy a little bit of time. But the faster you get them on the books, the better. And it's not just the faster that you get a conversation with them, it's also the faster you get them scheduled is extremely important as well. Just because you contacted them within 30 seconds of them texting you, and then you schedule them out 2 weeks out, that's not going to help anybody.
You got to get them in ASAP to resolve that condition.
Yep.
I love it. We're kind of coming up against the clock here, guys. We've covered a ton of stuff. I have one more quick question for Abby, then a couple of announcements before we wrap up today's session. But before I do that, Abby, actually, any burning questions, feedback so far, guys? Been great stuff. Feel free to jump on in.
I was going to address Tanya. Tanya.
Yeah.
I know you asked about who can perform those school physicals. Every state's a little bit different. You just got to Google who can perform sports pre-participation physicals. That's what they call it. And yeah, every state's different. So.
Perfect. That's great. Awesome. Good to see you, Michelle. I think we had Michelle there for a second. Awesome. Abby, last thing, and we're gonna wrap it up here in a second here. We're 30 seconds or less. What are the key points in a scheduling conversation of a new lead? A referral lead, a paid ad lead, a lead from an event? Like, what are the key language points that you're always trying to hit? And then what words or parts of the conversation you try to avoid? Just like high level, under a minute.
Yeah, definitely. So, like what kind of Tanya touched on earlier is not giving too much information. You really have to find the sweet spot. And that's something that I've had to play around with a little bit, but you want to let them know obviously who you are, why you're calling. And then you will have them explain to you what health concern or area of concern brought them in to either click on that link, stop by the booth, whatever it may be. And then from there, you will let that guide the conversation. Give them some hope, but also let them know we need to find out if they're a candidate for care. You never want to let someone know, like before they come in, oh yeah, we're for sure going to be able to help you. You want to create a little bit of hope, but also keeping a question mark there because you want them to still have that burning desire to come in and find out what's going on, not giving them all the answers because then they'll go home and go on Dr. Google and then be like, oh, I figured it out. I don't need to go in anymore. So it's really just about finding that sweet spot, not getting into a ton of insurance information, just kind of going back to the same points, like if you have specials for new patients, just going back and reiterating that will check your insurance once you come into the office, and just making sure that you're not like, because sometimes people will be pushy and want to get as much information as possible, but just staying like strong and making sure you're not just divulging all the information possible. But yeah.
With a call to action to schedule time to discuss.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That, and then of course, yeah, call to action. Let's go ahead and get you scheduled. We're excited to see if we can help, things like that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. I love it. Well, this has been a great session, guys. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I'm super pumped. This upcoming weekend, we have another communication and closing seminar. Part C is happening. We'll be breaking down every part of your sales cycle. You get a lot of cash patients to say yes to care. And then August 25th and 26th, we have our 7th division workshop, and we have our business academy workshop happening. And our business academy workshop is going to be live streamed just like this, as well as in person in Clearwater, Florida. So book your calendars now. All the information is in the chat box for you guys to click and register. Again, for those that want to attend, staff, you can attend live stream. Doctors, you can attend the workshop live stream now. So you can experience our entire training event happening in Clearwater, Florida. And if you're part of the 7th division group, we can't wait to have you guys here to mastermind some high level business expansion and growth. This is going to be fun. We have a really fun, jam-packed virtual mentorship schedule for this month. It's not only the first Tuesday, but an amazing special guest. Let's go ahead and all thank Dr. Brad Forbes for joining us today. Thank you, sir. Clap it up. Awesome. Appreciate it, of course, to Tanya and Abby for helping co-host today's session as well. We have like so many $1 million ideas here that we just were able to share. Now it's implementation. Next week, we have 7th Division member Dr. Jacob Taylor, 7-figure practice out in Chattanooga, Tennessee, joined with Coach Kelly, is going to be doing you guys' virtual mentorship session next week, all about closing cash services in your practice. And then Michaela Quinn is back. She is the regional manager for a practice that sees over 2,000 patients a week. And she'll be helping us on the 3rd Tuesday of this month, really dialing in great front desk systems. The 3rd Tuesday on our virtual mentorship session, followed by our final leadership talk on the 4th session as well. So every Tuesday we'll be here, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm either going to be in Clearwater, Florida or Southern Illinois. I'll be at Brad's office. I will always be here for you guys every month for these, and make sure you get cheeks and seats every single week, every Tuesday, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. You bring your questions and needs. I'll bring the experts here to help share with you guys. Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Brad, once again. I'll see you guys for next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.